Jordan Breeding, I'm sorry you couldn't be here in person.
That's okay.
This episode of The Modern Rogue is brought to you by Squarespace. Head on over to squarespace.com/rogue. Spell it right, R-O-G-U-E. Give it a free trial and then get 10% off. I'm human, I swear.
What do you got for me?
So I wanted to not pay taxes this year, so I thought we could use an article I wrote about tax breaks to not pay our taxes.
Do I have a gift for you? Bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wesley Snipes.
I don't know.
Oh, no, he's not here.
Oh, shoot. No, most of these probably aren't going to work unless we move places.
Okay.
But because we're green screened, we can be anywhere we want, really.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're definitely not in the same location. All right, so where's the first place we want to teleport to?
So we're both somewhat creative, hopefully. One of the cool things about Mexico, where we're about to move, is they have a thing where you can, if you're an artist, literal art, like if you paint.
Not like what we do.
Not like this. They won't accept what we have. But if you are an artist, you can actually pay your taxes in art. You can give them art and you pay no taxes.
You know what? I rescind my comment. We are artists.
But what they do, so there's a tiered system. The basic gist is if you, throughout the year, painted, I want to say it's like 4 pieces, you got to give 1. If you did 6, you got to give 2. No more than 6 art pieces. What's interesting is they do have like a board of curators or whatever. They have people that are like, yeah, this is real art.
Yeah.
This isn't just like...
This is some Modern Rogue episode.
Right. This has been a thing for decades and decades. And in fact, even when they've done tax reforms, nobody's even brought it up because it's so popular. Like, everybody's on board with it. It's just not a thing that they're ever planning to get rid of. And in fact, this was about 10 years ago, but they were considering expanding it to things like performance art.
I approve.
I'm curious.
Mexico, you keep on going.
I'm actually curious if their thought process is, are they actually thinking, hey, maybe some of these will be worth it and they're selling them off? Or is it kind of just like we like art in our country?
I guess along those same lines, like some people feel like here in America, the tax system is rigged in favor of entrepreneurs, but it's like the reason it's rigged that way is because America would very much like people to be innovators and create new things. And so as a result, if you invest in a thing, then you're able to deduct it and not pay much taxes.
Which actually brings me to my next one that we could both maybe work on. It's,
Okay.
You can write off boob jobs.
Ooh, I know about this one because I was in high school at the time.
Oh.
There was a adult entertainer.
Chesty Love.
Yes, she, if I remember correctly, she literally had, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, 72-inch large breast implants.
The IRS has stipulated that you have to, it's only for work.
Yes.
And it has to be potentially detrimental to the rest of your life.
Or it's like, there's no way that you could be just writing this off because you would enjoy it.
Right.
And this particular case actually went to trial.
Yep.
And the judge, I remember part of the statement was, no human would do this to themselves on purpose for pleasure.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting, right, is now, so it's funny to think there's like some guy now at the IRS who's like, well, those seem too big. Or like, they're not big enough. Those are just for pleasure.
Well, and all of that only matters if you get audited.
Yeah.
That's something I shouldn't have said on the record. Those kinds of discussions happen once you enter an audit thing. I am not a tax person, I don't know. But let's say you owned a junkyard, and let's say you didn't want to pay a security company for a bunch of lasers and cameras and whatnot. So instead, you had a kennel full of, I don't know, 12 pit bulls. They're being fed and paid for. It's not like you're cuddling up with them at night. They're literally junkyard dogs, and they're only there to keep people from stealing your parts. That seems like a security system to me.
I suppose the way that applies to strippers.
Yeah, they're not your pets.
They're not your pets. I keep trying to tell you this.
They're the merchandise.
No, my only point is that you would write it off, but when you're turning in your taxes, you don't have an explainer to that degree for everything that you have.
Right.
That would only come up in the event that you are being audited and they say, what is this? Then you have to explain the extent of it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to say, well, they're not my pets, you know, they're merchandise or whatever. So anyway, we could try that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll put a pin in that one.
We could get non-pleasurable body
Wait a
modifications.
minute. Did you ever read the story of the man with the $200,000 breasts?
No.
Okay, so there's a culture in Vegas. I think this book came out in the late 90s, maybe early aughts, but there's something called a proposition bet. I bet you won't blank, or you will do whatever, or that fly will land on one sugar cube or the other.
Okay.
And among this high-rolling culture, they take it very seriously. And in one case, there was just a straight-up cis heteronormative dude. And somebody said, like, yeah, you won't get a boob job. And he's like, well, I don't know, how big are the boobs? I'm making this part up, a C+ or a D. And he's just like, and meanwhile, there's like this self-policing council that is like, all right, so the proposition specifically is you're saying he won't get breast augmentation surgery. How long does he have to wear them? You're like, at least a year. And it's like, okay, well, what's the action? And it's like $200,000. And this guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then the guy did it and just rocked $200,000 breasts for, in fact, a year passed, and the details I'm certain are wrong, but afterwards he was like, yeah, it turns out a lot of people find that interesting. I'm just gonna keep them for a while.
Would you take this bet?
How much you got on you?
$200,000 or whatever.
No cap? I don't think I will.
I wouldn't at all, I don't think. I don't think that's enough money. I would rather make $200,000 slowly doing a job. I don't know, it just doesn't sound very fun. In Florida, you can get huge discounts for cows.
Why would that be?
So the way that it works is in Florida, in order to like stop the spread of Disney, in theory, they they have deals with farmers where basically, if you're a farmer, you get huge tax breaks, specifically if you have cows. However, it's so loose and vague that there is one U.S. senator who had 6 cows that he rented on 55 acres, and he got $43,000 taken off of his taxes every year. And Disney, similarly, lets farmers use some of their undeveloped lands to get their taxes, their property taxes taken down from about $190 million to the equivalent of $12 million.
I see, we're straw manning this as like the most scammiest version of it, but I could picture if you had that same 55 acres and a rancher was like, hey, would you like my cows to munch down all your grass and keep it low, and also you could get a deduction on it, and also I'll pay you, or you could pay me or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it seems fair, but highly sneaky, highly manipulatable.
We're trying to get our taxes lowered, so if we could use this Modern Rogue HQ2
But
swamp version. Which I guess, you could also just build it down there.
Halfway there.
Yeah. And then the last one, if we move to Arkansas and we become veterans of a war and we become blind in that war, we can buy a tax-free car every 2 years. That's all we gotta do.
To drive around.
So, I mean...
Is that because you're gonna be crashing them a lot?
Yeah, you gotta replace them very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like, presumably it's for their caretaker, is the idea.
Yeah.
But it is limited exclusively to blind people, blind vets. There are no other disabilities that are covered under this. Nobody else gets tax-free cars.
But you know how that goes. That feels to me like somebody in the state senate or whatever is like knows a guy who knows a guy, tells a story, and like, and that's why we need this bill. Yeah. It's called Chad's Law.
I think, it's Chad's Law. Blind Chad. Yeah.
So many of these, it's so easy to see it from both sides, like a just use of it and an unjust use.
In this one in particular, I'm not worried about like a bunch of blind war veterans scamming Arkansas.
Finding you?
Finding me. Yeah, I'm pretty quick.
Smash cut. Jason Statham in Blind Chad Justice.
Chad is blind. So anyway, I think using all of those, our taxes should be really low this year. I've given us lots of options. We do have to move to a lot of places. Become a lot of very specific types of things.
Smash cut to us making paintings in Mexico with triple G
While also becoming ranchers, and we're blind, and we fought in a war.
And it's like, we only paint while we're driving. All right. Dr. Jordan Breeding, where can we see more of your stuff?
Yeah, if you want more helpful tips, Dr. Jordan Breeding on YouTube. My videos are about as helpful there as they are here.
Equally qualified tax advice on both channels. Right on. Hey, man, high five. Well, it's been a few months. How have you used what we learned, Dr. Jordan Breeding?
Robot Dr. Jordan Breeding.
I'm sorry, robot Dr. Jordan Breeding.
First of all, now I am a real doctor.
You weren't already a doctor? I figured you already...
No, that was for comedy. Now I have tax deducted and actual medical license.
What's up with the shiny getup?
This is no getup. I have replaced all biological components of the human known as Dr. Jordan Breeding with synthetic robot Dr. Jordan Breeding. The savings have been huge.
Okay, but of all the extreme changes you've made, which one are you most pleased with?
No question. That one was signing up for Squarespace.
You went to squarespace.com/rogue. You spelled it right, R-O-G-U-E. You signed up for the free trial, and then when you did sign up for the service, you got 10% off by using promo code ROGUE at checkout.
Exactly.
No matter whether you have a blog, portfolio, a comedy site,
A what?
whether it's an email list, an e-commerce store, or just a simple website, Squarespace is built to help you grow, which I guess you can do now because you're a robot.
Exactly.
Well, you heard the man himself. Head on over to
Squarespace.com/rogue. Spell it right, R-O-G-U-E. Give it a free trial. Then stick it to Uncle Sam at 10% off.
I don't know about that last part.
Evade Uncle Sam.
No, we're not saying that part.
Evade. Evade.
Squarespace.com/rogue.
This video is supported in part by viewers like you over at patreon.com/modernrogue. Every little bit goes a long way. And if you have a great idea for what you would like to see offered on the Patreon, as long as it's reasonable, I would love to hear it.
Good. Excellent. I am prepared for this advertisement. Tell I'm old because that was a challenge. There was a time that would not have been a challenge.